Hello everyone, this is Lamin Sani of LSWAT apps. Okay, so welcome to the second part of this tutorial series, which is PHP contact form with validation. Okay, so in the previous video we set up the HTML for our contact form, and yeah, so this is what we have. So in this video we're going to take a look at how to access the variables on the process.php files that we have posted from this form, and send an email. Okay, but just a side note, we will be using Gmail or Google Mail SMTP server to send emails. You can use an alternative SMTP server if you wish, but we'll be using Google because it's easier and it's available to a lot of people. So it turns out that in order for Google to authorize a third-party service, in this case our PHP form here, to access your account through SMTP, you have to enable a feature called Less Secure Apps on your Gmail account. Just a side note, enable this just for the sake of this tutorial video. When you're following along, enable it is pretty safe, but as soon as you finish this tutorial, please disable it because you don't want to leave it like that there, because if your username and password is compromised in any way, your account is not safe anymore. But actually your username and password should not be compromised, but just in case, I just want to let you know. And you can enable this feature through this URL here, which I'll post in the descriptions below. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and install the script or library which we will use to help us send emails, and it's called PHPMailer. We'll be using Composer to import it into our project, but if you don't want to use Composer, you can manually do that. I'll just help you out in finding it. It's called PHPMailer. So I'll just do PHPMailer and just go to the GitHub link for them and click on that. So I'll just wait for that to load, and just follow the instructions below here as to how to import it into your project without using Composer. Okay, so it's pretty easy to do so. So just have a look at this here. So apparently it's something like this, but I won't go in depth in that because from now on I'll be using Composer as a way of importing PHP libraries, because it's the way forward for PHP. Okay, and it's good practice as well. So with that out of the way, let's go to our process.php file here and continue processing the posted data. Okay, so we're going to remove this var dump here, and the first thing we need to do is let's go to our terminal and do composer require phpmailer /phpmailer. That's the library we're going to use. So I'll just let that download, and I'll resume the video when it's done. Okay, so now that the PHPMailer library has been installed, let's confirm that it's there. So if you come to the project here, now you'll see that we have a composer.json file with the PHPMailer listed as a requirement there, and a composer log file and a vendors folder. Okay, so inside process.php, let's require the autoload file for Composer. And if you're not familiar with Composer, just have a quick look at my Composer series, which I did. And Composer is a package manager for PHP used to import libraries, as we did here. Okay, so we're gonna do vendor and /autoload.php, so that makes sure that those libraries for Composer are all available. So the next thing we need to do is let's create a config file. So I'll do a new file, config.php, and the config file will just return an array of configurations. So we'll open a PHP tag, and we're just going to return an array. So we'll do return. So this array here will have many configuration keys in the name of username, which is pretty much just your email. I won't type my email here. I'll just do it in the background because I don't want it public to everyone. So, and then password is just the password for your email, which is in this case your Gmail password. So let's just do password here, and then finally your recipient, who's going to receive the email. Okay, so I'll just put one email here. So let's do recipient, and as usual I will not type it in this tutorial video here. I'll do it in the background. So let's just do a filler text there, receiver email, but just note that you have to type in actual values here, your email, your password, and whoever has to receive the email. Okay, so this is the last I will show this config.php file here, but just know that when I close it, I'm gonna pause the video and actually put in the actual values for my Gmail. Okay, so I'm just gonna pause the video here. Okay, so now that I've filled in the values in the config file, I'm gonna come back to process.php, and what I'll do is I just require that config file. Okay, so I'm going to store the values in a variable. So I'll do config equal to require And anytime you return an array or any value from another file, if you require a file, the contents will be available to you, so you can store them in a variable like this. So we're going to do require, and I'm going to require the current directory dot / config dot php. Okay,